And, when you put typically, an average Joe Blow service member and an average Joe Blow civilian, 9 times out of 10, my money's on that service member because he knows how to grit just a little bit harder than the other person. Because like you said, we've all been through some stuff, right? So I think that's super important. And for every veteran service member, active duty, guard, reservist, whoever is listening, just understand that you have a lot more tools in your toolbox than you give yourself credit for.
Yeah, you have a sixth gear for sure. Because I can say to myself, like, damn it, this sucks. But you know what? It's not as shitty as the Lanaga.
Yep.
It's not shittier than Iraq. I can figure this out.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah. Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Dan Wynn.
And Mike Glaspie.
And welcome to the Military Cashflow.
And today we got Jimmy Vreeland, and he's going to be talking about his financial freedom journey and how he went through creating all of these strategies, moving from West Point to regiment to now owning and operating multiple businesses. So Jimmy, go ahead and tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
Hey, what's up, guys? My name's Jimmy Vreeland. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri. I'm married. I'm a father of 4. And I run an education company called Cashflow Tactics, and I'm a turnkey provider for rental houses in St. Louis.
Excellent, excellent. Hey, so you went from the military. You went from join the military. How did you get into real estate? Where did that even come from?
I read Rich Dad Poor Dad in Afghanistan.
Boom, the one book. Yeah.
Nice.
The purple and gold book.
Yeah. I was like on my 3rd deployment, and I went to West Point, and I was getting very tired of structure and taking orders, and I was like, this looks interesting. I'll try that.
A little bit more freedom, huh?
Yeah.
Gotcha. I got you.
It's funny that you say that. So, I mean, you were at West Point, right? The revered military academy. Then you came out and you actually found yourself over in Ranger Regiment, another very elite unit. And at this point in time, you still were thinking that this was, although you were meeting a lot of accomplishments in the military, you were still thinking you were looking for something else?
Dude, I was pretty tired by that 3rd deployment.
Yeah.
I did. I got into a lot of trouble at West Point. Like I walked 100 hours. Like I love the military. I love the Army, but I was like, I'm not going to make this a career.
Nice. So at least you knew that pretty early on.
Yeah.
All right. So go ahead. So what was the first deal? What that looked like? How do we get into that? We're in the military, we're in regiment. And you're like, hey, I'm not going to make it. I'm not going to make this a career. Read the purple and gold book. So what's next? What happened next?
So this is like 2006, and interest rates were like 6.5%. And my mom and my brother was at med school at the time in St. Louis, and my mom was like, interest rates will never be this low again. Let's buy real estate. So my mom, I would send, you guys know when you deploy, you don't pay taxes, right?
Yeah, that's cash money.
And so you're liquid. So I was just sending all my money back to my mom and brother. And then we would buy rentals. And then my brother would find other med students to live in our rentals.
Nice. And this was St. Louis? This was in St. Louis as well?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So you were
it was a market that you were comfortable with.
Yeah, and then my brother's a smart dude. He's actually an Army doctor, and he's like, well, I'll find attendants in med school. These guys will overpay market. I was like, all right, hit it.
So that's pretty interesting. So your first deal was a partnership deal, albeit it was your brother, right? You partnered, and you were not, obviously I don't know any military installations.
Well, I am my mom, and like, this is an interesting story, but let's keep going.
No, I don't know any military posts there, but you had some family members. You figured out a way to partner, and you're investing long distance. So can you talk about that a little bit?
I was just like, that whole concept in Rich Dad Poor Dad of cash flow. Like, I did not my own personal labor, but my thinking and using leverage could put money in my pocket. That was like discovering gravity. I was like, oh my God. So I didn't really care. I was just like, try. And my personality is like, I don't need a lot of info to move. So I was just like, just buy. Oh, they're horrible deals, by the way.
But I think ultimately you mentioned that you got in trouble a lot, during your time at West Point. But I think that kind of just alludes to the fact that you were always trying to find your own way. You were always, maybe a little rebellious, but you knew, rightfully so, that some of your actions weren't necessarily wrong, but they were your own way. And as a real estate entrepreneur, you can now explore that a little bit more.
Yeah, I read something from Dan Sullivan. He's kind of an entrepreneur coach. His books are great, by the way. But like a lot of business owners or entrepreneurs are incredibly disciplined when they believe it's their idea.
Yeah.
And that was like, for me, it was like, defend freedom, be a patriot, fight in war for my country. I was all over it, right? But like, be home early, curfew, shine your shoes at West Point. I was like, just give me the commission, man. I'll go fight your war. Just leave me alone.
Yeah, dude, that's crazy, man. So, got into your first deal, partnered with your mom and your brother. Made some mistakes. What's one of the big lessons you think you learned out of just those first couple of deals, and how did that shift your mindset once you actually executed that deal and had that once making a little bit of cash flow? So
what Rich Dad Poor Dad's written at an 8th grade level, right? Mm-hmm. It's a 30,000 foot view, and it's a great book. And that guy, I think, has changed America and how people view money, right? But that being said, you got to decide if you're going to be an active investor, which means you have a low-paying job in real estate, or you're going to be a passive / leveraged investor. So I get out, right? And the first house I buy, we decided to do a full gut flip, and I would just live in it. I would house hack, right? And like, even though like we flipped 100 houses last year, I'm still not a good flipper. I'm not a good tactical X and O guy. And like, I didn't talk to my mother for 6 months over cam lights in the basement. So I know a lot of the people who listen to your podcast are probably still in, right? Mm-hmm. And they have an active job, a high stressful active job. So they got to make it's an important decision to say, am I going to do this actively, or am I going to do this passively? And am I going to invest, or am I going to work? Because they're separate things. And like the best frame I understand it from is Kiyosaki's Cashflow quadrant.
Yes.
Can you explain that a little bit for those who are unfamiliar with that?
Sure. So read Rich Dad Poor Dad, pause this podcast, read Rich Dad Poor Dad, then come back to this podcast, because you got to start there. Then listen to 10 more minutes of this podcast, then pause that and go listen to Cashflow, the Cashflow quadrant. So you got, this paradigm blew my mind. So you got 4 quadrants. You got employee, for the E, you got S for small business, you got B for big business, and you got I for investor, right? And so most people think when they buy a house and they're going to Home Depot and they're going to be hanging cabinets and laying tile, which I've done all of this so bad in such a horrible way, that you're in the I quadrant, right?
Well, when they think that, but
they are, yeah.
No, they're not, yeah.
Where are they really at, Mike?
E. They're sitting there saving. They could be small businesses, depending on how you want to look at it, but they're working. They're E in my mind.
Yeah, I probably push them out like the S, maybe, because they're working for themselves at least.
Maybe, but definitely on the left side.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, if you accept that and you say, I'm a real estate worker and I got a low paying part-time job, and then you take that on and you know that, you won't be disappointed. But if you think you're going to make big bucks doing that by yourself, Lone Ranger style, I know you're going to be disappointed, because I'll fast forward a little bit. I get out of the military, I get married, I move back home to St. Louis after I start talking to my mom again. And then I have a, 80 to 90 hour job in medical sales, right? And me and my wife, we had 4 kids in 5 years, so we're busy, right? And in the meantime, I'm trying to build a real estate portfolio. I'm hanging cabinets on the weekends. I'm grouting tile, and I'm so bad at it. I'm the worst. And I'm just like, what is going on? I'm not getting rich. What's happening? Kiyosaki lied to me.
Yeah. I think it's super important, because I was literally having a conversation with another investor just last week, and the same thing came up. I said, you have to first decide, do you want to be a real estate investor, or do you want to invest in real estate? And that's just more of a mind shift, a paradigm shift to say, yeah, am I going to continue to watch flip and flop? or, you know, house hacker or whatever, and go in there and try to do all this work? Or am I going to find an investment vehicle to invest in and then trust a professional or an expert to do it? And that's the same concept, because so many people.
And be willing to pay that professional.
Yes.
Because so then once you say I'm going to do it passive, you can't be a cheap bastard.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that takes time for a lot of people. It took time for myself to do the same thing, because I was pretty much, my first deal, I kind of did the same thing. You know, it was hard for me to let go. You got to understand that, you know, you can delegate some of these tasks. And even though they might not do 100% of the job the way that you might do, they might do a 90% job, but that's going to be good enough. And it's going to buy you up time to then where you can put your time to where it's best, you know, where it's best suited for your business. You're working on your business, not in your business. Sometimes I think that's necessary, though, that piece that you said, hey, I laid tile, hey, I, you know, hung cabinets, because, you know, sometimes those contractors, they'll try to rip you off, and some, you know, you kind of got to know a little bit about what you're talking about. Yeah. So, but I love that you said that, though.
Yeah. But it's like, because everybody's like, I mean, I agree. Real estate sucks. It's so hard. It's so bad, right? It sucks, but it's just the best compared to all the other stuff out there.
Yep.
And then I sell a lot of houses to new investors, and they're like, they'll give me 45 days in, like, Jimmy, I don't have a high return. And I just hang up and laugh. I was like, wow.
I think that's one of the biggest issues, is there's this common misconception that real estate is easy and that real estate is fast.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's not easy. It's simple, but it's not easy, and it's definitely not fast. This is a long time game that you accumulate over time, and in 5, 7, 10 years, you're going to start to really get to reap the rewards. But a lot of people are very impatient.
I mean, that house I didn't talk to my mom about. I've owned it now and me and my mom still laugh about it. But like, I've owned it, 06. So I've owned it now for 12 years, right? I got like 100K equity in it. Like, you know, and then the crazy thing about my rental portfolio is once I stopped paying attention to it, it just started spitting out cash.
Yep. That's the best part.
Yeah.
Once you stop focusing on it, let it just operate, it kind of did what it was supposed to do.
And once I went back to work and worked my ass off and started getting better and better at different skill sets, it's just an added bonus.
Excellent.
I love it.
Excellent. So
yep, go ahead.
So the financial freedom movements, right? We're talking about Cashflow Tactics. Can you talk about that a little bit? What is this Cashflow Tactic movement? We see it all the time. I see it on social media. I love what you guys are doing. Can you tell us about
Dan, I don't
that?
even work for money, dude. It's all about the Instagram likes for me.
Wow, hey, so you hear it here. You're gonna see his Instagram tag right below his picture right there. So
literally the whole video.
Yeah, make sure to go check that out.
I gotta have those hearts. The dopamine. I get my dopamine hits from that.
Yeah. Wake up in the morning, first thing you check, boom. Oh, I got some hearts. I'm ready to go.
I'm trying to compete with some 12-year-old girls, guys. Like, I'm trying to get my likes up to that level.
Okay, you got a long way to go.
So Cashflow Tactics. So, you know, I deployed. I had a phenomenal experience in the military. I loved fighting for freedom. So then I get out and I go into military sales or medical sales, right? Then I met my two partners from Cashflow Tactics, Ryan Lee and Brad Gibb. And Ryan, he was killing it in real estate. And then Brad he's got like a master's level in accounting. And so he actually explained to me why all this stuff was working. And so I got to the point in my corporate job, I was like, this is not the freedom I fought for. And I was like, I'm going to go find the freedom I want. The government has said, hey, if you do what we want you to for society, we won't bother you. So I was like, well, I got to find my way into that I quadrant as fast as possible because I do not want to be bothered.
Yeah, I think we preached that on this channel so many times. Like, hey, man, it's so advantageous to have a company, and there's just so many tax advantages with it. I mean, you hear about people like major corporations like Amazon, like Jeff Bezos, and like other major real estate, Grant Cardone's and things like that, where they're not paying any tax at all. They're making so much money, they're not paying taxes because they live through their business. They're able to write off so many expenses, all their day-to-day activities for the most part, that for the most part they are associated with business expenses. So they're able to deduct that from their business income. And typically they get it to a point where they're not paying anything in taxes. It's so advantageous to create that business because you are ultimately creating a product for a product or a service for many other people. You might employ people, you might, you're just providing a great service to people. And just like you said, because you're providing something for America, essentially, the tax laws are pretty much written for you because of that. So.
Yeah. And so once I educated myself on it, I just saw a clear path. And it was like Uncle Sam was saying, hey, dude, just do this and I'll leave you alone. I was like, cool, bro, we're good.
Yeah.
So then I just started business and became an I. But then,
excellent.
Financial freedom to me, like, it's not sitting on a beach. Like, so many people get into real estate. Oh, I got my 3 rentals. I'm going to go to the Bahamas now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I've been thinking a lot about this with the Corona, and things are going to start to get spicy, right?
Yep.
Very spicy. It's already getting spicy.
Yeah. And it's like, financial freedom to me is like, I don't have to do anything that my higher self is not requiring me to do.
I like that.
Like there's a great book called Principles by Ray Dalio, and there's a lot of great lines in there. You got it?
Ray Dalio, Principles. Excellent books. Pretty large, but it's an excellent book. Excellent read.
But there is a line, and there's 2 lines in there there's a graphic called The Hero's Journey, which is awesome. But then there's also, he says something, if you don't look back in a year and think you're stupid, what you were doing a year ago, you're not growing fast enough.
I love that. I've come to the realization of something very similar where people get into real estate or any passive income trying to get rich quick because they think what I like to coin as ambitiously lazy, right? They're going to work really hard now to get their cash flow and then stop. But ultimately, like you mentioned, it's you don't necessarily want to do things that you don't have to do. But I feel like financial freedom also gives you an opportunity to find your purpose or to fulfill your purpose at a bigger level, which I think kind of alludes a kind of like just a great segue into Cashflow Tactics and that education program that now you're starting to pass this information off to veterans.
And so I realized to be financially free, first I had to create a lot of value because dollars value. So I had to bring a lot of cash in the door. I needed to stay liquid. I needed to protect my risk of ruin. So what I'm describing to you is the base of our financial pyramid. So I had to find a place for liquidity. There's specially designed life insurance policies where you can do that.
Yep.
Then I had to get my disability, all my medical, everything squared away. Then I had to get my hedge. And we do this with our buyers. They have to prove to us that their financial foundation's built, that they have a month's worth of cash sitting in their house. They have 6 months worth of reserves for every rental I'll sell them. Nice. And that, we encourage food storage and we encourage you got some gold and silver around.
Oh my gosh. So this guy's talking about some like apocalypse, like make sure you're ready for, not really apocalypse, but make sure you're ready for anything. And I actually love that. I was literally just talking to my wife about, hey, it'd be great if we had some gold. We need to start buying some like actual gold, some gold coins and silver coins and things like that to make sure we're ready,
Yeah, you're not buying that for an investment. And sure, with the government printing money, it's going to go up in value for sure. But you're not buying it as a speculation. Like, for example, when they put St. Louis on shutdown with the Corona, and veterans will love this story, but I have my month of cash in my house, and I'm not going to touch it, right? I don't think I have to use it, but I'm not touching it. So I went on like a Craigslist for arms, and I traded silver for an AR last weekend.
I was literally just counting my ammo with my wife too. Like we were literally talking about this. They're like, all right, I got 2,000 round 5.56. We need some more 9mm though.
as soon as things started going, south sideways ish, I got my I Am Legend gear on. I was ready to roll. I was like, it's game time.
Yeah,
that's awesome. So another one thing that I love that you talked about is that you're not just out there selling to anybody, right? You're making sure that they have a solid foundation before they even invest with you. And I don't think there's many people out there that is doing that. And it's I guess it will probably allow you to sell more, right? You could probably sell more if you didn't do that. But you're looking out for your buyers. You're making sure they can come back and they're in a great financial situation to actually invest, which I really commend that. I really, really, really do commend that. I think that's awesome.
All right, so like my commander, he was trying to do the right thing. And so there was an Edwards Jones guy who used to be in the military. So he came and talked to us, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so invest your money. And I was dumb. All we were doing was partying. We would deploy and party, right? So I was like, I'll put some money away. And I gave it all to this Edward Jones guy. And he was a well-meaning salesman. He was doing his best, right? Problem is, he didn't know what the hell he was doing. He was just selling what his managers were telling him to do, right?
Yep.
So
Commissions, right?
I get out and wait, like the day Bear Stearns goes down. Like,
oh, wow.
And the guy's like, sorry. Like,
yeah. We've been talking a lot about like Robert Kiyosaki, right? In his book, his newest book, Fake. I read that book, and he talks all about that, about fake teachers. And he talks about some of those fake teachers being financial advisors who, if you look at their income statement, if you look at what their actual asset, what they have in assets, it's usually not. They're just regular people that are making commissions off of selling you securities, right? And typically they don't own assets themselves. That, you know, they're just pretty much doing exactly like what you said. So that's interesting that you say that. And yeah, there's not much you can really do about it. It's like, oh, well, sorry.
You guys got to be able to see, you know, only follow the people that have a proven track record in what it is that you are attempting to
and unfortunately, you have to learn it for yourself. You can't give some salesman your money for 30 years. Like, you got to think, you guys got kids?
Yes.
He does.
But I mean, I can't imagine taking my 4 kids to a babysitter and be like, all right, bro, do your best. See you in 30 years. I know it's going to work out.
I love that analogy. I'm using that from now on.
I've never
I
heard
love that.
That's good.
30 years, like seriously, because you keep your stuff in retirement accounts for 30 years, bro, and you're like, well, I hope it grows. Yeah.
Touch at it. I like that a lot. That's good.
But the other problem too is there's no rapid feedback loop, right? Like, let's say you do buy a rental, and let's say it does suck. You get a rapid feedback loop that quarter, that month, and you can go take your licks and get better. If you're just giving it to a financial guy, you only take your licks every 8 to 12 years. When the market crashes, you got to start over.
Yep.
So you're going to need better yourself.
You're right. And people kind of try to compare real estate investing to dividend investing in the stocks, but it's almost at the same aspect. I mean, that dividend is affected by the price point, right, which is all volatile, whereas a rental income is affected by the lease itself, which is a stated thing. So, I mean, you look at it all different kind of ways. I'm just excited. I can't even speak because you're hitting some really, really, really important stuff that many people just blank over.
I love that. I love this stuff, man. I love this country. Like, we are the wealthiest human beings on earth. Like, for 300 years, people ate shit so we can live like this. So I highly intend to do my best.
Yes.
To at least honor the shit they ate.
Yeah. Yes. I love it, man.
So I'm a cash buyer, right? I have a good financial base. I come to you, I see Cashflow Tactics. What can I want to buy a rental. Can you walk me through that process? What does that look like? What are you looking for? And what is that? Can you drive that conversation for me, please?
Yeah. So you'll show up to Cashflow Tactics. You'll start with a 5-day challenge on Facebook where you're going to get, you're going to do your own personal income statement to see if you're even ready to buy a rental property. And so there are a few people will be like, hey, you can come buy a rental. A few people, we're going to say, hey, dude, you got to bring in some more cash. But let's get you and your family squared away. Let's get you one of these vaults set up, and let's start building the habits you're going to need to grow wealth. And first and foremost, that first habit is, you guys read this book, Richest Man in Babylon?
I'll grab it back there, but I'll probably knock something over. But yes, yes.
Dude,
George Clayson, right? Or Clayson or something like that.
Yeah, we won't let you in the mastermind. We won't do anything unless you're saving 10%. So that's step one. And so that will get you, and it's crazy. You're like, I was on a real estate podcast. Why is this guy talking about life insurance? This guy's just, and those life insurance guys, all they want is their commission. But, so there's like we have an 80 video set explaining to you the life insurance and the real estate are just tools to build your wealth. But there's some education that goes around why those work. So next you'll do the education series. And then if you want to join one of the masterminds where we're all doing this together, then you join the mastermind.
So how often, So like we just talked about how people are very, very impatient, right? And people,
Yeah.
you know, we want cash now. We want to be rich tomorrow, right?
I know, bro. I wanted my Ranger tab like day 2.
Yes. Fuck mountain school. Sorry
Yeah.
about that.
Wait, why do I go to the mountain? Just give me my tab.
Yeah. So how often do you keep people and retain people through that entire process? Because a lot of people are impatient. If I came up to you and I'm one of those regular people that are always thinking, hey, I want to get rich tomorrow, and you tell me, hey, no, we got to stop and we got to do your financial base. We got to go through an 80 video series. How many people are actually walking away once they hear your process?
Probably a lot. But all the right people that need to walk away are walking away.
Yes. 100% agreed. It's crazy. That's always been crazy to me that everybody wants to be wealthy. We understand what it takes to be wealthy, right? But nobody wants to actually put in the work and put in the effort and the time commitment that it takes. I mean, I just never really understood that. But all right, so I made it through the 88 series video, or the 88 videos. I made it through the whole entire process. All right, we're good to go from there. So what's the next step?
The next step is you get pre-qualified with the bank. And then I just start showing you houses, sending you properties.
All right. And then it's pretty much turnkey from there. You're already giving me the everything with tenant in place, management there, I assume. I'm assuming all this is in the St. Louis area, so you're already very, very familiar with the market, and you're good to go from there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What else are you guys doing? So what's I guess what's next? What's next for Vreeland Capital and Cashflow Tactics?
We really want to get the whole especially with this Corona shenanigans, we want to get that wealth building pyramid out everywhere.
Yeah.
Just because like everybody in Cashflow Tactics, like we're worried about the older people in our family, but like nobody's lost anything. All of us are out of the market. All our cash is in life insurance policies. And like, I had to have a tough call with my owners this quarter. And I was just like, hey, maybe they don't cash flow for a quarter. Who cares? You didn't lose any money. You know, with Corona, I'm having a great time with my 4 kids. Like we're working, we're busy, but like they're coming in the office, we're having fun. I'm just saying number 1 rule of investing, don't lose money.
Yep. Very true.
And then if there is a dip, have your cash ready because Uncle Jimmy's going hunting.
Yeah, big time. Everything's on sale at that point, right?
And that's what we're in Cashflow Tactics, like, because people like get a house and they're geared up and like, Jimmy, what about this? What about this? What about this? I'm like, dude, it's a house. Who cares? Like, the tenant does some really carnal things in your house. They're gonna like they live there. Like, you just go back to your own hero's journey and keep getting better. Like, this is boring. Like on a call today, like somebody was like, I look at my life insurance policy, I don't see it going up or down. And they were complaining. I was like, dude, you have the mental space now to go do whatever you want to do now instead of watching the stock market. Like,
live life, find passion, right?
Yeah, do what your higher self is calling you to do. Because that's what at Cashflow Tactics is really our mission. It's like, you may have excuses of why you're not going to become the person you want to become, but if you hang out with us, it won't be because of money.
I love it. So if you notice, what's been said over and over again, right, is your higher self. And just for those out there listening, just kind of key in or rewind this over and just kind of listen to how many times Jimmy mentioned finding your higher self, talking about passion, talking about freedom. You know, all this that's what all this is about, right? This whole real estate thing. It's not about, well, yes, it is about the money, but the money is really because it helps us. It gives us autonomy over our own life. It allows us to go and do and find passion and really do what we truly love, what our higher self, is calling, like Jimmy says. So that's one of the key things I think some people out there miss. A lot of people are just thinking, oh man, I need dollars, but you forget that the dollars is just an end result to that, that freedom, that passion, that, finding yourself type deal. So, yeah.
I mean, dude, that's why we all join the military. Like, when you're 18, you join the military because that's the hardest thing you can do right there. That's the biggest challenge you can put on yourself. Like, why'd you go to selection, Mike? It was hard.
Same thing, to push myself. Yep.
Yeah. So it's like, just because you give up, your commission or you get out, why would you ever stop doing that?
Yeah. I got you. I got asked that question a couple of times. I always knew I was going to be a finance officer. Like, why the hell do you need to go to Ranger School? It's like, trying to test myself, man. Why not?
You'll never not know that you couldn't do it, right? Exactly. And there's so many people that always ask you, well, why do this? Why quit your job and go start a real estate company full time? Why do this? And ultimately, if they have to ask that, they don't understand the wavelength that you're on anyway. Because when you're talking to the right people and you're around the right people, they're going to support that type of decision and that type of growth. So that's a good challenge for yourself. If your friends are asking you that question, maybe you need some new friends.
Yeah. Yeah.
And dude, I don't know why it works this way, but like you get your first $250 cash flow check from one rental and your brain opens up. You're like, wait a minute. If I could do this once, I can do it twice. If I can do it twice, I can do it 3 times. And then your brain just starts seeing new possibilities.
It's crazy. It's absolutely wild how often you see opportunities. Like you kind of have to stop yourself from doing other things and kind of trying to stay focused on one thing. Like I'm sure after you created your first after you got your first check, your first cash flow check, that first passive income, you probably looked around like, oh, well, I can do this kind of business. I can do this kind of business. I can do this. And you see it and your brain starts to figure out how you can do all these things. It's so wild. And you kind of got to keep yourself focused, but you're 100% right. And I'm sure you probably had those conversations with some other friends who may not think like you do, right? So you're seeing all these opportunities around you and you're like, and they're asking you like, how are you doing that? How I don't understand how your brain works, So I think that's 100% true. The first time you start building cash flow, you start getting that passive income, your mind just switches. It just literally changes. So yeah. So the talk about just a little bit your military experience, right? So how have you been able to take some of what you've learned in the military and kind of use that to your new business, to Cashflow Tactics? I mean, you have your whole entire team, I believe, are veterans, correct?
No.
Okay.
I hired my project manager, my right-hand man, Connor. He's a grad too. He's a West Point guy.
Nice.
So how has your military experience helped you in your business, in the business world?
You want to hear a funny story?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So my roommate at West Point, Scotty Alpaw, he's an awesome dude, and he's some big baller on Wall Street now. And he got hurt in Iraq, and so he went home before me, right? So Bear Stearns go down. The market's tanking. I'm nervous about getting out, right? And he just starts laughing at me, and he's like, "Dude, compared to the Army, everybody in the real world's lazy. You're gonna kill it out here."
That's so true, man.
Well, that right there is just like, and it's weird. Like I was a medical salesman for 8 years, right? And I had a mentor in medical sales. He was a Marine recon guy. And like, I love this man. He was awesome. But he's like, every time he'd see me, like, "Jimmy, you son of a bitch." Like I look in the mirror and I'm your age. Like, what the hell happened to me? But like, he was a 55-year-old man. He still saw himself as a Marine recon guy when he was expecting to see that guy in the mirror when he looked in the mirror, right? And now that I hit 40, I still I think I'm going to see that crazy 25-year-old bastard. And it's like, I would spend more time as a medical salesman, but I don't think of myself as a medical sales guy. It's like, I think of myself as a soldier and a real estate guy. But so, it's weird. We've all been through some shit and it stays with you.
And I think that's one of the biggest things about the military is it's something about the military instills a type of work ethic, a type of discipline, but a type of mindset above all, where, that comment where your buddy said, compared to the people in the military, civilians are lazy. Not all civilians are lazy.
I know, and Jimmy's an asshole and he offended everyone, but whatever. I'm a Veterans Podcast. I can say what I want.
Yeah, you can say what you want, man. But, when you put typically, an average Joe Blow service member and an average Joe Blow civilian, 9 times out of 10, my money's on that service member because he knows how to grit just a little bit harder than the other person. Because like you said, we've all been through some stuff, right? So I think that's super important. And for every veteran service member, active duty, guard, reservist, whoever is listening, just understand that you have a lot more tools in your toolbox than you give yourself credit for.
Yeah, you have a sixth gear for sure. Like because I can say to myself, like, damn it, this sucks. But you know what? It's not as shitty as the Lanaga.
Yep. Yep.
It's not shittier than Iraq. I can figure this out.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah. And so wrapping it up a little bit, right? So if you could give one piece of advice to someone out there that wants to do what you're doing or is trying to get into the real estate game, what would that piece of advice be?
Eliminate your risk of ruin and then just fail fast.
Why fail fast? Because
that's the only way you're going to learn. Oh, get the principles book.
Yeah.
If you watch this on video, get that hero's journey picture. You know what I'm talking about?
The hero's journey picture in the book. Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to get into that abyss. And like, you know, I'm as big a little bitch as anybody else. Like, oh, I don't want to do this. But like, that part of that hero's journey is, dude, you got to go to the abyss and learn so you can bring the boon back to the rest of the gang. So
fail fast, fail forward, right?
Yeah, I was listening to that audiobook running last 4th of July. And like, dude, when he took you through that graphic, I had to stop. And like, that blew me away. But just like, because the other thing about real estate is you're not going to ruin yourself financially with it unless you're really stupid. But that right there.
Oh, there you go. For all those watching on YouTube right now, and I got the hero's journey up here, what he's talking about. The shows you where the abyss is at and basically shows you how to learn to be successful, right? So it's a pretty cool graphic. It's pretty this is just an all-around great book.
It's always being like, oh, Jimmy, just stay where you're at. Be comfortable. Don't go back to the abyss. It sucks there. Don't do that. But my higher self is like, get your fucking ass down there and figure this out.
Yep.
And that's also that inner monologue right there that just came out. That's where I will always be indebted to the military for that.
You're right about that.
No one speaks like that in the real world.
That's so true. There's so many times where you'll be, you know, it'll be freezing cold, soaking wet. Your MRE's already gone. You're thinking, hey, I got, you know, whatever it is, 2 more weeks out here, 6 more months out here, whatever it is. And you tell yourself, hey, suck it up. Suck it up, because it's not just about you. It's about everybody else out here. Suck it up. Get it done. So yeah, I agree with that.
Where else can you learn that?
Yep.
Yeah. Hey, so, hey, Jimmy, how can our listeners find out more about you and Cashflow Tactics?
Oh, my Instagram. You got to like. You got to like everything I do on Instagram. All my self-esteem goes away. We got the Rise Up, Live Free podcast. If you want to check that out, check out our Facebook group at Cashflow Tactics. We got a 5-day financial challenge where you can get your personal income statement straight. And then I'm on Facebook at Jimmy Vreeland.
Nice. Excellent. Hey, so thanks so much. I really appreciate you coming on the podcast. You dropped some serious knowledge. Mike, you got anything?
No, I greatly appreciate you coming out, Jimmy, and sharing all that valuable insight, especially about the foundational triangle, that triangle. And just everybody, I challenge you all to go out there, use the tools that Jimmy set forth, and just really reevaluate your financial situation as a whole.
Hey, definitely. So the last thing I'm going to put out is make sure to if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you hit the like, hit the subscribe, go check out everything Jimmy's got as well. Check out that Cashflow Tactics channel as well. If you're listening to it on podcast, please leave us a 5-star review. Last piece, we do have the Military Cashflow Facebook group. If you want to come in and join, you can see we got like a little over 300 service members on there that are all real estate investors. We'd love to help you out. We're all about growth here. Definitely go check out Jimmy's as well. He's got the Cashflow Tactics Facebook group. So make sure to check those, join both of those groups, and you'll see us all in there for the most part. If you got any questions, type it up and we will help you out.
Thanks, guys. This was a lot of fun.
All right. Well, this is Dan Wynn, Mike Glassman. Yeah, there you go. Signing off.